Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this session in the Education Innovation Sessions, and which is organized by many consulting partners and the Dutch Education User Group. This session will be about the data privacy framework in PeopleSoft, will be about the page and field configurator, which plays a big role in the data privacy functionality of PeopleSoft. And we will talk about the data masking feature, which is actually a quite new feature in PeopleSoft and especially in Campus Solutions. So the combination of these three things might be your solution for the general data protection regulation requirements. My name is Roel Gifjoen. I'm a managing consultant at Epicenter, and we are presenting this session to you today. So this is the agenda. I'll tell you shortly about us, and then I'll handle the data privacy framework in general, the page and field configurator functionality, then the new feature, and at the end we draw a conclusion, and then there will be an opportunity for questions and answers. You can already enter your questions in the Q&A part of this session, and then at the end of the session I will go through them. So who are we? We are Epicenter. Epicenter is a Dutch Oracle consulting firm. We specialize in PeopleSoft and in Oracle Cloud. We have a very nice new project. Well, actually, it's already been there for about 1 or 2 years. Fit for Cloud, which provides worldwide global interfacing between Oracle Cloud and, well, just about anything you want. So if you're interested in that, let me know, or one of my colleagues, and we'll bring you up to speed and see what will work for you with Fit for Cloud. But today, it's about PeopleSoft. And it's about the data privacy framework. So this is an overview that Oracle provides about their data privacy functionality in PeopleSoft as a whole. Well, I'm not going to read all those different frameworks and functionalities, but you can look at them one by one. Today will be about the separation of duties, which is a requirement in the GDPR regulations. And for the separation of duties, Oracle has foreseen 3 functionalities: data privacy framework, data masking, and page and field configurator, and we'll handle all 3 today. So first, the data privacy framework. What is that about? It's about personal identifiable info and sensitive information. Now, what do we mean with that? Personal identifiable info is information that can be used to uniquely identify whom it's about. So a social security number or something like that. Maybe personal identifiable info, just as an example. Sensitive information is data you wouldn't want to give away in a bar. Well, unless you might be very interested in the person actually being in the bar, and then you would say, well, okay, here's my phone number, this is my birthday, or whatever. But normally you don't give that data to anyone you don't know. So that's sensitive information. Where can we find all those fields with information, PII and sensitive information in Campus Solutions? Well, Oracle has delivered an inventory, which is called the Data Privacy Framework. And it's already being filled with record fields categorized in categories and classifications and marked as personal identifiable information and or sensitive information. And you can see the page here where that information is stored. And you can also see that there are filters. You can select all the sensitive or PII fields from a specific functionality like student records. If you click on search, you get all the record fields already populated by Oracle. Now, the nice thing is that you can also change this category and classifications, and also change the checkboxes for personal identifier or sensitive. So if you're you have another opinion than the delivered opinion of Oracle that a field might be sensitive where Oracle doesn't think it's sensitive, you have the option to override those checkboxes and make your own inventory of sensitive fields. If you then click the view references, then Oracle will show you where are those fields being used in Campus Solutions. Now you can see there are many references like query, report, search, analytics, and integration. Today we'll focus on the components and pages where all those information will be shown to the end user, because that's where we're going to do something about it because of the GDPR regulations. But Oracle shows you where all those data resides and where the pages are that are being accessed and where that information is visible. And of course, your custom components will be included in this report also. Now, this functionality, Data Privacy Framework, was delivered quite a while ago. And until now, I've shown you, well, just an inventory. But the question is, what can we actually do with it? How can we make sure that some info is not to be seen by everyone, only by the people who are allowed to see it? So the question will then be, can we hide that data? Can we mask that data? And the important thing is, can we do that based on user role or permission list, so that two users viewing the same page but have different permission lists, one of them might not be able to see a specific field content, but another user, a key user or a guard user, needs to see that information unhidden. And can we do that with the Data Privacy Framework? Well, actually, that's when we enter the page and field configurator functionality, because that is the one that can actually do something with those fields that we marked as sensitive or personal identifiable data. It's part of the enterprise component, so it's not only in Campus Solutions, but also in other applications of the PeopleSoft suite. And the page and field configurator has been around quite a while for now, I think 1 or 2 years. And these were the features until recently. We could hide fields, we could change labels of fields, we could hide pages based on permission list or maybe other criteria. We could make fields required, make fields read only, and we could enter field defaults. Now, not all of these features apply to data privacy. Actually, the most appropriate things are hide fields and hide pages. You can do privacy regulations with that. The other ones are for data integrity, as you might see, make fields required, so the user doesn't forget to input any data. Make fields read only, enter field defaults to prevent wrong input from the user. And of course, many of these features are also nice for user friendliness of the application. The page will look cleaner without superfluous fields, etc. But Page and Field Configurator can now do more than it could for the last 2 years. So we're getting to something better. And that's called data masking. So how do we do data masking? Data masking is actually a feature where you can show that there is some data, but you are protecting the data either completely or partly from the view of the user. So the user can see that there is data, but he's not able to see the exact data that's in there. Now, if you want to start with the data masking functionality within the Page and Field Configurator, there's one important thing you must do to be able to get it working, and that's undocumented. If you look in the people books for campus solutions, you won't find this. So that's why I'm telling you. You have to add a specific role to your user that you're using. And if you're using a demo database, most of the time you are logged in as PS and you're expecting to have all security needed for everything. Well, in this case, I think they just might have forgotten to include that new role to the PeopleSoft PS user. So that's why if you don't do anything, the Page and Field Configurator will just look like it did for the last 1 or 2 years. You can enter a component and then the market, which is either global or a specific country market. But that's all, and then you'll end up to the page already being there, where you can configure fields, required fields, labels, etc. But not the masking. You won't be able to input any masking configuration. So what do we do before we get it working is we need to add this PFC data masking admin role to the PS user. And after you've done that, then you need to log out and log in into your PIA, and then you open the same Page and Field Configurator in the enterprise components, and suddenly there's a third field on the search page, which is the configuration type, and you can then choose between standard and masking. So that's when you can get started to get functionality working. So important thing, don't forget this, otherwise you might be looking for that for a long time and it's undocumented. So don't forget this. After you do that, then you can start using the functionality. We have 2 setup components where you can define, well, on a more global scale, the parameters of your masking. So you can define a mask profile, or 2 or 10 or 100, just as many as you want. I've done just one in this example. EPI test is a mask profile, and the type here is that the last few characters of a specific string or data field will be visible. In this case, the last 4 will be visible, and the mask character for all the other characters that are not to be shown will be an X, and you can choose between X or an asterisk, actually. And the retain separators checkbox is if a string contains dashes or slashes, then it will just skip those dashes and slashes and show them, because they don't give info, real info, only format info. Now, the other setup components, you can define a field group, and that's only useful for setting defaults. So if you're masking 100 components and you have the same fields that you want to mask in let's say 20 or 30 of those components, then it would be nice that always the same masking type is being used. So you can define a list of fields here, all using the same masking profile by default, but you can override it later. I'll show you in a while. So, and now we're good to actually set our configuration. Now, the nice thing about this configuration, we'll get into a live demo soon. The nice thing is you can multi-select fields, so you get a list of fields on the page, and then you can just add check, 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 and I want all these fields to be masked. So this works very fast, and the nice thing is also that here the integration with the data privacy framework we saw in the beginning of this session is very nice here, because you can easily see which fields need to be masked, because they are either personal identifier or a sensitive field. So that will help you in choosing the right fields on the page. And if you then see on the page what you can do as well, actually you can uncheck or check the mask functionality for that field, so you can temporarily unmask it. You can change the profile used for the mask. And in this case, you can see that the by field has the default profile as defined in the field setup I just showed you. And that's the full mask profile. And the other two fields have been changed from the default to another mask profile, which we want to use for a specific page. And the nice thing is standard and masking configuration in page and field configurator can be combined. So you can actually define them separately, and they'll both influence the page and how it will be shown in the application. Okay, so now it's demo time. I'm going to show you the application. Let me see how I share my browser. To log in again. I think you'll be able to see my PeopleSoft's application, and it's this is PUM image 17, which has only been available for a few weeks now. And I'm going to show you the page and field configurator. And well, this is the standard page and field configurator as it is known for quite a while now. And if you go to the masking configuration, then you can see it's quite a bit different. Some things are the same, but here the configure fields for masking grid is a new grid, which has those fields. The three fields are showed already in the PowerPoint. And it's very simple to say, well, I want to change this one to something else. I'll just choose another profile, and here I'm switching to this one, and then I can save my configuration, and then I can see how it will look like on the page. Well, this is actually a configuration for the component packet plan, which is our student program plan. And I'm now going to that program plan. And as you can see, I masked the name of the student here, so only the last 4 characters are visible. You might think 3, but there's a space also that's visible. And of the ample ID, the last 4 characters are visible, and the other ones are masked. And you can see it's either an X or an asterisk. And this by field is actually the operator who last saved the information for these students. So that's completely masked. So now you see the 3 different masking types in action. Okay, I think I'm going back to my PowerPoint. Let me see. Oh, that's the wrong one, sorry. Just a moment, too fast. Okay. Sharing the PowerPoint again. So let's take a closer look at the results. We have the masking features as shown, but the standard page and field configuration I changed to labels are also visible. So it works, well, very much together. We also have the masking criteria, which work the same way as the standard page and field configuration criteria. So in this case, I only applied the configuration for ample IDs beginning with SR, and other ample IDs will just be shown as normal. But you can enter all kinds of criteria depending on the contents of the level 0 of the page. And you can also use the same role and user exceptions as in the standard. So you can apply the configuration to a set of users, a set of roles, or to all users, all roles with excluded roles and excluded users, in this case, PSEM. It works the same way as the standard page and field configuration. And of course, you have to say to which navigations you need to apply this, because it's not component-based. Well, the configuration is component-based, but you can make a difference between the several navigations having the same component. One has the configuration applied and the other one hasn't. But you only need to do that once. After you apply the configuration, all the changes are dynamic. So, going to the conclusion, can we do partial masking with page and field configurator? The answer until now was, well, maybe in the future, but from today on, it's yes, we can do masking with page and field configurator. What do you need to be able to do it? You need Campus Solutions PAM image 17, because that one contains a new enterprise components version with the masking feature in the page and field configurator. And you also need a specific PeopleTools version, because 857.11 is the first one which is actually enough support for this functionality. The delivered PAM 17 image is on 858.03, so that works also. I'm not sure about 01 or 02, so that's why I advise at least 03. So it's Q&A time. I'm going to look now at if there are any questions. And you can enter your questions in the Q&A section of the session. I think there's an icon for that in your presentation bar, or I can't see any new questions in the Q&A. Maybe my producer, Jorik, can.
So actually, there are no questions, Roel. So I'm not sure if anybody has any questions, but feel free to post them. I published a message asking for that a couple of minutes ago. And let's just see and wait if anything comes in.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah.
Will it work in the search? is the question. Will it work in a component search? If you open a component and then you have a search page, and that's a good question. If this field is to be masked, if the user also see the masked value in the search. Well, actually, I would expect so, but I haven't tried that. So that would be a nice thing to experiment with. But yeah.
So we got a couple more questions coming in, Roel.
Yeah. Can this data masking be applied to other modules like HR and finance as well? Actually, it should, because it's enterprise components, and enterprise components are also available for the other applications. I know that HR had a little bit different data masking functionality, but I think this one has been delivered next to that, and you can turn off the old one and start using the new one. But I haven't actually tried that myself, but it should be possible. There are two new questions. Can the value of individual checklist items be masked? I would think so, yeah. In fact, there's not a limitation on which fields are available for masking. So I would expect that those things can be masked also. Yeah, good question, thanks. Where can you find the inventory? That's a good question also. The inventory is also in enterprise components. So if you navigate in your PeopleSoft application to the enterprise components, you'll find the data privacy framework and the page and field configurator, both in the root, I think, of that enterprise components navigational folder. So you should be able to find it there. Maybe if I go back to the application, I can even show you that. Don't have. Oh, there's a new question. Let's do that one first. Can you please share the PowerPoint presentation with us? Yes, I will, but not sure in which way. But we'll make sure that that our PowerPoint presentation will be shared. Certainly. And you can always email me at roel.griffioen@epicenter.eu. So if you're having any trouble accessing the PowerPoint presentation or reviewing, seeing this session, let me know by email and I'll get back to you. So, are there any new questions? No, there are no new questions anymore. So I might be able to.
There's one question coming in.
Quick look at the application, and if you see here, then we have the enterprise components, and then the page and field configuration is here. The data privacy framework should be here. It's quite at the bottom, but it's in the same folder. Yeah, back. Another new question, will the organizers be able to share the recording of this session? I think so, yes.
Yes, the session will be recorded and that will be shared, indeed.
Yeah. So, I think it's about time to finish this session. I'd like to thank you all for joining and for viewing this session. Let me know if you need anything more about this functionality, or if you want to come in contact with Epicenter for whatever reason, just let us know and we'll be happy to help you out. We wish you a nice afternoon with the other sessions, and goodbye for now.